Whew. Hello everybody. Welcome to another video. Bonjour, bonsoir, bienvenue. Welcome. Welcome to another New Manchester video. This is yours truly, Richard. And what do I want to talk about in this video? Okay, well, before I get into what this video is all about, looks like I lost 2 subs. It's from those 2 people who have been complaining about how my videos are. The videos on this channel. And you know what? They have the right to unsubscribe to me if they want. And it looks like they did it. So, actually, I don't know who unsubscribed to me. So, yeah, I lost like 3 subs now. But, I don't really care. You know something? I can continue making videos with no subscribers on this channel. So, it doesn't bother me at all. So, yeah. So, don't really care about that. And also, due to that trade war between the United States and Canada, Canadian provinces all over Canada, premiers of every province are boycotting and banning American products. Liquor / booze. Anything that's American is banned in Canada due to those trade tariff wars that was started by President Donald Trump. Yeah. And Canadians are going to buy everything that's made in Canada. And Canadians are not traveling to the U.S. Canadian families are not going to American amusement parks at all. So, yeah. And these tariffs that President Trump is slapping on countries like Canada, China, countries in Europe, it's gonna drive the cost of things here. Everything's gonna be expensive. Everything's gonna be extremely expensive. Everything's gonna be ridiculously high. Fuel, food, clothing, anything that Americans need, Americans are gonna pay more for what they need, and I'm one of them. And, and during this trade war, I'm gonna lend my support to Canada. That's right, I'm gonna support Canada. I made some negative videos on this channel about the Great White North. But seeing what my country is doing to Canada and other countries like it, I'm going to support Canada, and also I'm going to support countries in Europe over this tariff war, trade war. So yeah, so I'm giving my full support to Canada and countries in Europe. Yeah, one of those, yeah. And also I'm going to lend my support to Ukraine over that war it's having with Russia. I'm supporting Ukraine. I'm supporting Canada. Yeah. So full support here. You know, this is a small channel, and I don't think I'm not going to get a lot of views. So, it is what it is. So, yeah. Okay, on to this video. Well, it's like this. I remember, and you saw the title of this video. I remember I went to a store in Liberty City, Texas. It's called the DG Market, the Dollar General Store Market. And I went there to do some grocery shopping. Well, namely, I went there to pick up some milk and some candy, lollies, sweets. And as I was doing my shopping in the store, I heard some people arguing. Yeah, I heard some people arguing. And when I approached the checkout counter, I saw an old woman arguing with a cashier. The cashier was a young woman. She was in her 20s, and the old lady was just talking to her about something, and the cashier told the old lady that she was being belligerent and rude, and said she was going to call the police on the old lady. The old lady was with her husband. And I was just standing there in the checkout aisle when all of this unfolded. And if I can remember this, all this was over. This old lady wanted to buy cigarettes and cigars, and the cashier wanted the old lady to show some ID. That's right. She wanted this old lady, this senior citizen, to show some ID in order to buy some cigarettes and cigars, which she was talking about. And she was complaining about this. And there was a woman in front of me. She was a former employee of a Dollar General store. And she said this to both of these people. Well, we live in a small community. We need to learn how to get along with each other. And that's all she said. That's all I can remember what she said. And I noticed, the old lady, she was human. She was down to earth. Well, she wasn't down to earth. Well, she was human. She acted like a human being. She acted like a person. And the lady who was the former Dollar General store employee she was human. She acted like a human being. She acted like a person. She acted like an actual person. The old lady and the former Dollar General store employee, which was another woman, were they were people from the old days here in the U.S. where people were down to earth and sociable and easy to talk to, and I was in a small town where people were, well, for the most part, down to earth, but there was some closet racists. And the cashier who threatened the old lady by telling her she was going to call the police if she kept arguing, being belligerent and rude to her. So, I came in the store, so I didn't know what happened. And if I can remember this, put on my thinking cap. Okay, the cashier was acting like a robot. She was stiff, lifeless. You know, she acted like a machine. She wasn't human and down to earth like the older lady who was complaining to her about showing some ID in order for her to buy some cigarettes and cigars. The cashier was a woman, a young woman, Gen Z or a millennial or a late millennial. She could be around that. This cashier was a woman who was a late millennial and early Gen Z or Gen Z translation for Generation Z. Okay, the cashier was just stiff, lifeless. She wore glasses. She didn't show no emotion or nothing. It's like she wasn't human. She was like she was a robot. She was a machine. And she told this old lady that she was being belligerent and rude. You know, and that hits hard for me right here. You know, that this is a pattern to me because I remember, I dealt with a lot of crappy people where I live. You know, I'm around a lot of people who cut me off, who won't let me speak, people who bully me, talk down to me, treat me like a child, yell at me. These type of people told me that I need to go see a mental health profession and a psychiatrist, saying that I got mental issues and I got psychological problems and I'm being rude and disrespectful. Okay, I wasn't being rude or disrespectful to any of these people. I don't know what it is here in the United States, but some of these people here will they like to tell lies on you, or better yet, it's like they're like a bunch of sharks and they're swimming around in the sea and they're sniffing blood. And when they sniff blood, they just go after something. Well, what I'm trying to say is, is like if you just like talk a little bit and you don't raise your voice or anything, you just talk in a normal tone of voice, like I'm doing right now. For some reason, it's considered rude and disrespectful to people. Like, okay, like someone like tell lies or say, you built this, you destroyed this television, or you flipped this mattress over and you said this. Well, if I can respond to you, if I may, I did not do that. Yes, you did. You did that. You did that. Don't lie. I said, well, I didn't do that. Don't raise your voice at me. But if toxic Americans, they drive you crazy and they bring out the worst in you, and if you raise your voice at them, then they'll turn around and say that you're being rude and belligerent. It's like these people, it's like these toxic Americans, it's like they just, they bring out the worst in you. Then you raise your voice, get angry and snap or raise your voice at them. They'll turn around and use it against you. And I see this tactic that's been used by a lot of toxic people here in the U.S. And, and I noticed something, if you yell and shout at a Brit, if you're angry or disgusted, well, and, I don't like, yeah, and Americans are very loud. They talk loud. And, and that's something that's something I'm getting away from. I almost got away from it. I hope I'm not raising my voice in this video, and hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, it's like okay, if I speak to a British person and yell at and just and just be enraged about something here in the U.S., they won't say, "Oh, you're being belligerent, you're being rude." No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, "Well, wow, you're really angry about the states." I don't know how people in the United Kingdom are, but I know they're not like Americans. But here in the U.S., like, people will just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. You got some people here in the United States. It's like they're just sky high on coke. It's like they're sky high on accommodation. I'm gonna say it's like they're sky high on a mixture between cocaine and PCP, angel dust. And and I see this in my sister too. My sister displayed this behavior. Yeah, Americans are rude, loudmouth, obnoxious. You know, they like to tear someone down just for the heck of it, turn someone into a monster, and yeah, and that's the contribute factor to, like, some people who don't have a mental illness are developing a mental illness. So going back to that old lady at that Dollar General store in Liberty City, Texas, I'm thinking that, this is a hunch, and I wasn't there, I came into the store when the argument unfolded, over the old lady complaining to the cashier that why she had to show ID to buy cigarettes and cigars. God, I lost my train of thought here. I don't know. Yeah, it's like they like to, like, just, I don't know, these people who are very, very toxic here in the U.S. It's like they just like to tear people down just for the heck of it. I mean, yeah, and yeah. Okay, now I can remember what I was going to say. I think that cashier just made up a lot of stuff on this old lady. And I find it kind of silly about older people showing ID just to buy some cigarettes and cigars. I don't know if this is all over the U.S. I don't know if this is in other states. I know this is not in countries in Europe or other countries outside of the U.S. I don't know if they have this thing or not. Like, people have to show ID if they're older, if they're adults and they're old people. They have to show ID to buy tobacco products like cigarettes and cigars, alcohol. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it would make sense if someone who's, like, under the age of 18 or over the age of 18, to give an example, or under the age of 21, it would make a whole, yeah, it would make sense for them to show ID, but to buy beer and wine and cigarettes or cigars, it would make sense for those people to show ID, but why would someone who's old and elderly, someone who's past the age of 18 and 21, why do they have to show some ID to buy some cigarettes and cigars? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's silly. Just like the tipping culture here in the United States is just out of control. Yeah. It's just all that. It just makes no sense to me. And I told my sister about this, about what happened at the DG market in Liberty City, the Dollar General store market, over the argument between the cashier and the old lady. And I was telling my sister about it. My sister said, I was telling my sister about they were arguing over this. A woman was complaining, but this old lady was complaining to this cashier about showing ID just to buy some cigarettes and cigars. And my sister said this to me: "Yeah, don't get involved. Just ignore them. Don't say anything. Just stay out of it." Then I told my dad about it. My dad brings up, "Oh, those people might be crazy. They might pull out a gun and start shooting and killing people." And this old lady didn't have a gun at all. This old lady, along with her husband, they were just people from a generation where Americans a long time ago, before the year 1985, were down to earth and sociable. And during those times, if you're a single man, it would be hard for you to find a woman, find a girlfriend or a future wife. But, you can't do that in this modern generation climate today. It's damn near impossible because of how women and girls and people are today. Like, people today generally aren't down to earth and sociable and easy to talk to and easy to connect, because everybody is socially disconnected, segregated, isolated, and paranoid and fake. And everybody just stares at their smartphones or mobile phones. Nobody talks to each other. There's no social human connection here in the U.S. And the only way you're going to talk to people in the U.S. is through business-related purposes and being serious all the time. And, I'm a guy that has a sense of humor. Like, you can't joke with people anymore. Like, if I do something hilarious, like I do voice impersonations or tell a joke or something, people won't crack a smile because of this politically correct, depressing, all serious environment. They talk about, oh, we got to preserve everything for future generations. Well, future generations are going to be just as worse as the current generation. So what's the point of that? Everybody, as how things are right now, a lack of social human connection here in the U.S., things are going to get worse for years to come. So, I can't sugarcoat this. So, that old lady didn't have a gun, and, my dad is very, very paranoid. He's one of these very paranoid people here in the U.S., and I'm sick of this paranoia. Yeah, I understand there's danger everywhere, but you can't be paranoid and think everybody has a gun. Everybody's dangerous. Everybody's dangerous. I mean, going around here thinking like that is absolutely insane. I'm not going to be paranoid. I'm just going to just say this. But you know what? I think my life can improve if I just leave the U.S. and move abroad. But, my mother told me that I have a 12th grade education and I didn't finish college and I had to accumulate a lot of wealth to move abroad. And she tells me I need to stay here until I die. Stay in the U.S. until I die. Well, what she didn't fail to hear what I have to say, what she failed to do is not hear my side of the story. Well, I can go back to college. I can get an education. I can go to college or trade school, and I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to work. I'm going to save money. I'm going to accumulate wealth. I've been saving money for a long time. So I know it takes money to move abroad. Plus, I had to go through immigration. I had to do citizenship. Go through all that red tape and yellow tape, and it's hard. Immigrating to another country is hard. Well, moving to another country is hard. So I'm not going to listen to what my mother says. What I do is my choice. It's funny that hearing people like my mother and people in America who preach about freedom. You have so much freedom. Well, I don't have the freedom. I don't have the freedom of speech, and I don't have the freedom of choice. I don't have social freedoms, and I don't have the freedom to be myself. And plus, you don't have a lot of, there's not a lot of freedom in the U.S. There's less freedom in the U.S. And case in point with that old lady showing ID to buy some cigarettes and cigars at a Dollar General store. That is a symbol of freedom being reduced here in the United States. But, you have, me and everybody who lives in a foreign country that has way more freedom than the U.S. I have way more freedom. I have the freedom to be myself. I have social freedoms, freedom of choice. I have a lot of freedom on my hands, as long as I don't break the law or do anything wrong. Because like I said, most countries in the world aren't dictatorships. So, that's all I gotta say in this video. And yeah, in that previous video, I was gonna show you guys how I look. I mean, if I'm still good looking to find that special someone. Do I look beat down and ugly looking? Here I am. Well, you can leave your comments for that if you want to or not. So I don't think you guys ain't gonna comment on this video or any of the videos that I posted on this channel. So yeah. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna be going on a cruise late in October of this year. I'm gonna be going to Asia. I'm gonna be sailing on a cruise ship with my parents and my sister from China, all the way from China to South Korea to Japan and back. So China is a tyrannical dictatorship country. But I heard some good things about China. Even though the government is tyrannical, the people are sociable and down to earth. as I heard from people like Winston Wu, the founder of Happier Abroad. And South Korea and Japan are Northeast Asian countries. They're more antisocial and cliquish, and also in Japan, you have you have like casual racism among the Japanese people. So I have to be on the lookout for that. But if I experience that, I'm not gonna let that bother me, because doesn't matter where you go in the world, ignorant people are everywhere. If you're racist, you're ignorant. I don't want to talk about racism. You can't stop someone from being racist. People are going to be racist regardless. And there's nothing, you can't change their mind. You can't tell them that everybody's the same. They're going to think the way they are going to think, and me, I don't want to have anything to do with a racist person who's full of ignorance and hate. So that's all I gotta say in this video. Cheers and au revoir. Goodbye.